Hey everybody, this is TommyNaysh,
And this is Gigabit Gaming.
and this is episode 8 of the G.E.S.T podcast where we talk about gaming, esports, streaming, and technology.
Yep.
We got a
Yep.
hot lineup here today. Guess what? It's console release week. We got a lot of games coming out, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm not getting either of them at launch, but I know you are getting both because someone's got to pay Visa. So
I gotta get both consoles, and starts by going up to Best Buy tomorrow morning. I think around 8 o'clock in the morning. They're gonna open their doors so you can grab it. And I'm pretty excited for that, to say the least.
so how's that working with COVID? Have they said anything? Like, obviously everyone's got to be probably masked up and all that stuff. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
it
So
probably take forever to get it.
everybody's gonna be masked up. You basically just show them your order number and possibly your ID, and they'll hand you the console, and you walk out. What they were doing was scheduling people when to come in to grab their console, and my phone's been messing up lately, so I never got that call to schedule the console. So I'm just going at my earliest convenience to go get it,
Nice.
and hopefully they don't give me a hard time about that.
Oh, I'm sure they're gonna be. You can't have it. Oh, how mad! I'd
They
love
don't
it.
open till 9 o'clock tomorrow, but they had people scheduled to go in for 8. So I'm just gonna go there as early as possible and try to snatch it up because I mean I do work tomorrow still, so I just want to go and get it.
I miss the good
Maybe
old
plug her
days
in.
where like the lineup to get the new COD would be like at midnight and they'd open at midnight. Man, and people like I don't know, maybe it's cuz I've gotten older, but it feels
Yeah,
like that's not a thing anymore. Whereas like the
it's
hype
not.
used to be like, dude, we're going at midnight. We're grinding all night long. We got so much Mountain Dew and Doritos. Oh baby, it's going to be so good. And now it's like, oh yeah, new COD. Yeah, I'm picking that one up, but
I
there
know
doesn't really seem to be any
when one of the
crazy.
Call of Duties came out, I actually left high school early. I think I left at like 11 o'clock. Went to Subway, picked up two hoagies, and sat in line for 12 hours.
Dude, I remember
And
the
I
hype.
still wasn't the first person in line.
I remember the hype for Black Ops 1, coming off like MW2 and people loved it and all that. So like the hype for Black Ops 1 was like through the roof and there
Mhm.
was like lineups of hundreds of people like day 1 trying to get it. It's like
Exactly.
insane, man. It's crazy.
Just doesn't happen anymore. I am excited to see how it works out tomorrow, to see if there's like a huge line, because I mean they're not selling these in store, so people can't line up to try and get one tomorrow. Actually, I'm not sure if that's the case for Xbox or not. I know that's the case for PS5, but I don't think you can get it physically in store tomorrow. You just have to hope for the best online and then go and pick it up or get it shipped to you.
Hmm.
So it'll be exciting to see how many people are there tomorrow, to say the least.
And they do have pre-orders shipped, and some people already have their consoles. And Microsoft has said, "Oh, if you got it, get yours. Go ahead and play it." Because people are like,
Yeah,
"Man, I got my console, but like it's not even out yet. Am I allowed to like sign in and start playing online or whatever?" And they're like, "Oh yeah," because people are worried. Because obviously Microsoft has the power to be like, "Oh, you're playing it early, bud. We're turning you off. Fuck you." But they're not doing that, so that's awesome.
there's two sides of this. There's the people that are getting it early, especially like I know Taco Bell was running a promotion, and if you won one of those Xboxes, people are already getting them at the door today. So
That's crazy.
I did see some people saying they received their Xbox from the Taco Bell promotion and they're ready to game. But then there's Amazon, which just sent out an email today to people saying, "Hello, we're contacting you with an update regarding your order of Xbox Series X. We expect to ship your console in the coming weeks as we receive more inventory in November and December. At this time, we anticipate that you will receive your Xbox Series X by December 31st or before. We're making every effort to get it to you as soon as possible and apologize for any inconvenience." So there are some people that are getting boned in the situation, and they will not be receiving their Xbox on launch day as they anticipated.
Man, if you had to wait like that's like over a month, like or more for something that you already
Yeah,
bought, like that blows. And it's not Amazon's fault. Like if Microsoft didn't ship them enough, then they only got so much in a warehouse. Like you, you can only do so much. And I think this almost comes down to like an Nvidia thing as well, where demand and supply and stuff, like they just with COVID especially, it gets impossible to tell how much demand there's going to be, and they're
yeah,
like, man, like we thought everyone was poor. Like, how are you guys buying this? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, it could be Amazon's fault though, because like, what if they just put out way too many pre-orders and Xbox or Microsoft was like, you have this many, and they somehow received more pre-orders than they intended?
I can't imagine Microsoft saying, "Yeah, you only have X amount of pre-orders." I can imagine Microsoft saying, "Just sell it. We'll ship it when we get it, boys." Ha
Yeah, that's
ha!
very true. That's very true.
I,
And that being said, there's still the PS5, which is coming out on the 12th,
mm,
and pre-orders. People are starting to get information like the tracking labels are being made and such. GameStop reached out to their customers saying that they were getting their consoles. Uh, I think Walmart did as well, but Target has been in the dark. That's where I pre-ordered my PS5 from Target, and all it says is I will be receiving it on Friday the 13th to Wednesday the 18th. And just haven't heard anything. There's a lot of people that are just wondering what's going on. I'm a part of like a on the one website there's a forum and everybody's just constantly talking about like their pre-orders in general, and there's a lot of Target members on there that are just like, haven't heard a thing, don't know
yeah,
what's going
what's
on.
going on, boys? I don't know. I'm more like, yeah, I'll buy it whenever there's a game on it that I really want. Like
Yeah,
if something comes out, I'm like, oh man, I need this game. Then I'll definitely pick it up. But until then, like I'm content, more than happy with PC gaming only. Really, I mean, I have a PS4, but man, like it could be busted down there, and I wouldn't have a clue. Like I haven't turned it on in months. Like if I'm watching Netflix or something, that's normally on my phone in my
yeah.
bed. Uh, I have a smallish apartment. I mean, you're looking at like half of it pretty much in this webcam view. So really, there's not a whole lot of space for me to have stuff. Like behind me, there's a wall plug, but like I don't have a TV that I can wall mount up there, and I already got other stuff. And my desk's here. Like, where am I gonna put a couch to sit and watch the TV that
Yeah.
doesn't look stupid? Anyways, this is besides the point. But like, it is what it is, I guess. And I'm in no rush to get them, and I think that's a good mindset to have. Like, it's obviously good if you want one right away, but I'm not dying to get one. I'd rather let the people that are dying to get one get them first before I just be like, oh, well, eventually get it. I might as well buy it now when I won't even touch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for some of the PS5 exclusives, and I did pre-order Miles Morales, so hopefully I get that
But
the
it won't be
same
able to
day I get the
run because
PS5.
the PS5 overheat. But did you not see PS5 reportedly overheating at Best Buy kiosks? So PS5s that are being shown off at Best Buys are reportedly overheating. The units appear to be stored in a sealed plastic box. Photos on Twitter show. However, that's a fake unit, a display unit. The real PS5 that's being used for display is behind it, in, however, another very tight sealed cabinet. It has two tiny 80 millimeter fans to help circulate air. Anyone who know, like, let's say this quick. Put your PC inside a box, and then cut two small holes and put two tiny fans in the box, like a wooden box, and
Yeah.
and wait and game for 3 hours, 4 hours. That PS5 has probably been getting hammered 10, 12 hours a day.
And they probably don't turn it off even at night when they close. They just leave it on.
I'm doubtful this is a real issue, especially since I haven't seen any reviewers who have talked about the PS5 openly mention anything with overheating.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think it'll be an issue whatsoever. But like you said, they're cramming it in a box, throwing a couple extra fans in there, and people are complaining that it's overheating. I mean, what do you expect? I like the PS4s and Xbox Ones. They used to be in those. I guess they were never in those small plastic enclosures either. If they had this console separately in the back, but they didn't have problems overheating. But that's probably because like didn't require that much power. You
Well,
know?
yeah, you got to think how like cooling hasn't really changed that much in the last 8 to 10 years. I mean, we obviously have advancements and better things, but it's not to the same degree that the technology has advanced. So
Hmm.
you're getting more powerful parts in a similar size unit, and then you're cramming it inside this wooden enclosure, and you're being like, "Oh, it's overheating. I guess the PS5 sucks." It's like, no, like that's just not realistic. Like you don't do that with a computer. a powerful computer. Obviously, there's tiny computers that are low power, and laptops and even your phone is a computer. But these things don't draw nearly as much power as a new gaming console does. So it's
Yeah.
absurd to even consider that as realistic.
Yeah, you just have to wait for the real reviews at that point, from people having it at their house. If people at their house start complaining that it's overheating and they have it in an open area,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we got to worry about it. But
And
as of right now,
worst case, there's just gonna be a firmware update to like increase the fan speed. So
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true.
what's the big deal? Anyways, if you want to get into the game releases that are coming this week, I see we have an insane amount of really good games.
Yeah, with new consoles comes new games, and I mean that's also very good for PC players as well because most of these games are coming to PC except for the PS5 exclusives. We got some games here that we're looking at. Assassin's Creed Valhalla that comes out tomorrow. Yakuza Like a Dragon, I think that also comes out tomorrow. And then we got Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War coming out on Friday. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, that's the new expansion which comes out I think tonight. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, Beyond Light should be out. And then we have the PS5 exclusives such as Sackboy, Spider-Man, Demon Souls, um, etc. I guess I could say because I there's a few more that I haven't mentioned. And yeah, I mean that's not even all of them. There's still Godfall, Kingdom Hearts, Bug Snacks. The list just goes on. But
Demon Souls, I am really excited to see gameplay of that. Like the early trailers have Demon Souls looks amazing. Like that
mhm,
looks to be the first game already that has pushed the new console as far as we've seen it pushed yet.
exactly, I agree with you there. And I know Demon Souls and Spider-Man have that option that we were talking about where, hey, do you want to run at 4K ray tracing with 30 frames per second, or do you want to run at the less than that for 60 frames per second? And I know for a fact those two games have those options to switch over between performance or quality.
Like,
Um,
I think it's hard to say a blanket statement of like, oh yeah, I'm always gonna pick performance or I'm always gonna pick quality because it's like, if the quality setting hardly looks any better than the performance setting, then I'll pick performance. But if the performance setting looks substantially worse than the quality setting, depending on the game, like
mhm.
anything competitive, you have to have the higher frame rate. Really, it's multiplayer type
Oh yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
But like for a single player game, you might be like, oh well, 30 like doesn't really seem too bad. I don't mind it.
Hmm.
So, it just depends on the game, right? And, some
The
games look better or play better when they look better. You know what I mean?
I actually saw a tweet yesterday of Spider-Man Miles Morales where they compared the 4K with ray tracing 30 FPS to the 1080 60 FPS. And don't get me wrong, the 60 FPS version still looked very good, but the 30 FPS looked absurdly good. Like just the
Night and day,
reflections in
almost.
the puddles on the road and being able to see the reflections off the windows while you're climbing up a building just I
The
mean makes
issue
that big of a
with
difference.
Spider-Man for me is that it's such a fast-moving game that it almost like, you kind of need the higher frame rate to make the web swinging a good experience.
That's very true. If you're web slinging across town, I mean, how much detail can you pay attention to? In the tweet that I looked at, going back to that, they were just walking around and slowly moving up a building just so you can actually pay attention to the detail.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a game that I would play at 60 frames, but I would check it out at 30 just to see how good it looks.
Yeah, I see we got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate getting even more perks. You want to get into that?
Yeah, so starting today, Ultimate members will be able to stream all of the entertainment provided to you on Disney Plus. This is just a 30-day subscription trial, but you activate it and then you have 30 days of Disney Plus to watch whatever you want at your leisure. You have until January 31st to claim this. And along with Disney Plus comes EA Play joining the library, which I think happens today. And that includes Dragon Age Inquisition, Madden NFL 20, Mass Effect Andromeda, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, The Sims 4, and Unravel 2, with more being added over time. So those are kind of older games, but still more games being added to the Game Pass library for you to enjoy if you ever want to play any of those.
Is that the EA Play? So this Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you get a 30-day free trial sub, and then what? How much more is it to get it, or is that just like a new add-on to Xbox Game
So
Pass Ultimate?
so the 30-day subscription is for Disney Plus only. EA Play is joining the collection of all the games.
Okay.
So that's not only 30 days, that's forever or as long as Play lasts on
And
Microsoft.
how much is Disney Plus extra after the free trial is over?
I don't have an exact price. I can look that up right now, but the monthly price for EA or for Disney, I think it's like $12 or something like that.
Yeah, the thing that I worry about, and Microsoft has done it now already, I think last month, they increased the price of Game Pass, and this is what they're going to do. They have an insanely cheap product with really good benefits, and then over the years, just gets, oh, it's only $2 extra. Oh, well,
Yeah.
whatever, $3 extra a month, whatever. And then, 2 years later, your sub used to be $12 a month, now it's 30, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like what happened? Like something's going on here. And that's what Netflix has done. Like look at their starting price compared to now. It's like what, doubled, I think?
I mean, dude, just think about RuneScape, man. That used to be $5 a month and now it's 15 a month. World of
Yep.
Warcraft used to be cheaper, now that's more expensive. It's just subscription models, you know?
You got to
Once
start
they
off cheap
realize
to
they
build your
can get
base.
more money and they're not going to lose people over it, especially, they're going to keep raising the cost yearly or bi-yearly, I guess you can say.
For sure. Yeah, we mentioned Mass Effect Andromeda there. I just want to mention, we didn't put it in our notes, but they are actually remastering Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 now, which is going to be unreal to play on PC, man. I'm stoked to play Mass Effect again. I love 2 and 3. Even with 3's weak ending, once they fixed it, it was bearable.
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm beyond excited for that. There's no release date yet, but I think it's going to be very good to play those games again at native 4K with hopefully ray tracing support. I don't see why they couldn't, and all the added benefits that we have now versus back then. Because if you play them now, you're like, yeah, especially with no mods on PC, you're like, yeah, this is dated. Like I can tell. So it's really good that they're remastering those because they were phenomenal games story wise, especially.
Oh, yeah. I actually never went through the Mass Effect games, so I'm excited for that to come out because I do want to play them.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Next topic, we have the Witcher Netflix series postponed due to COVID. I guess that's in our gaming spot. That's all right. It's based off
Yeah,
the
so
books and the game, I guess. So
yeah, The Witcher, I mean, there's not really much to say here, but The Witcher did get postponed on Netflix due to a COVID-19 outbreak in the team. So they were saying that on the show at Arborfield Studios, just outside London, I guess, doesn't say exactly how many positive tests have been confirmed, but they do mention an outbreak. So I'm not exactly sure who and how many people have COVID-19, but that's probably going to be halted for, I mean, at least till next year.
yeah, I'm gonna say at least 3 months, very
Mhm.
least.
If there's more updates on that, we'll get that out to you. But as
Yeah,
of right now, there's not too much to say about that.
yeah. We'll break in our esports news now. We were gonna do this last week. Some of these news articles might be a little dated, but that's okay. There's not, a ton of esports news realistically every week, anyways. So
Hmm.
we'll get into here with 100 Thieves acquiring Optic's CDL spot, represented as the LA Thieves. 100 Thieves are entering the Call of Duty League by purchasing the spot previously held by Optic Gaming Los Angeles. The spot that had been Optic Gaming Los Angeles's the spot that had been Optic Gaming Los Angeles has now transferred ownership to the prominent esports organization, and sources have reported that 100T will rebrand the team to LA Thieves. Immortals Gaming Club, which had purchased Optic Gaming in one of the two Los Angeles CDL franchise spots, recently sold the green wall back to Hector Rodriguez, who will remain in control of the brand. While brief, 100 Thieves' first stint in Call of Duty Esports was a very successful one. The team captured two major trophies in the then called COD World League and finished second in the CWL World Championship. So you know a little more about this than I do, so wanna hop
Yeah,
into it?
so basically there's everything Giga said, and then as of recently, and I just said the same exact thing twice, but 100 Thieves posted on Twitter the branding of the LA Thieves. They already started to pick up some members, and they even have a Warzone Pro team coming out, which I don't think that's going to be considered LA Thieves. That's just going to be the 100 Thieves Warzone team.
Yeah.
But yes, 100 Thieves has the CDL team, which is the LA Thieves. I will 100% be a big fan of them. Um, and I mean, moving on, we got 100 Thieves opening up their Warzone Pro team, which is a first, and they grabbed COD veteran Toomey as their first player. So 100 Thieves and their new Call of Duty League franchise, LA Thieves, are wasting no time assembling their newly announced pro team for Warzone, announcing longtime competitor Thomas Toomey Truwin as their first recruit. Toomey spent last season as a substitute for the eventual CDL champs, the Dallas Empire, and I mean, he's been along. He's been with the COD scene for a very long time, to say the least. 100 Thieves founder and CEO Matt Nadeshot Hag paid some strong compliments to his new player on Twitter. He said he's one of the nicest guys you can ever meet and probably the best Warzone player on your timeline. It's an incredible feeling to have the ability to surround our team with such great people.
Yeah, that's pretty good sentiment to give someone, to be honest. Like, you don't normally hear someone saying, "Yeah, he's the best player on your timeline and one of the
Yeah,
nicest guys that I know." Like, that's pretty good.
it's honestly crazy that Warzone's starting to have pro teams in general. It's a battle
Hmm.
royale, and it's been going on for a long time. And especially with Cold War coming out, they're implementing Cold War guns right into Warzone. It's just going to be a mixed game of Modern Warfare and Cold War into one all new map, but being able to use the new weapons as well. And it's kind of crazy that they're doing this. They're not just going like, "Oh, hey, here's new Warzone on Cold War. You need Cold War to play it." They're just saying, "Hey, you already have Warzone on Modern Warfare. I mean, which is free to play anyway. But
I
get ready
guess
because we're throwing Cold War guns into it. New maps coming out, and you're gonna have a ton more content for the game that you play every day."
I guess they looked at it financially, right? And they were like, "Man, Warzone makes us a ton of cash. Do we
I could
really
imagine.
want to like segregate this cash cow between like two different games, or should we just keep it going now and then
Hmm.
drop the new game and then put in updates from Cold War into Warzone and get everything going even more hype and more people will play it, and all of a sudden now you have like 50, 60 different guns to choose from in Warzone, and your variety is insane. So people have a lot more fun because you can just go screw around with whatever."
Yeah, I feel like it had to have been difficult to implement these two games into one Warzone experience. So it's going to be impressive to say the least when we play Warzone, when these two are implemented. But I'm optimistic
How
to
big
say
do you
the
think
least.
Warzone's going to be now? Like 600, 700 gig?
It at least 300.
At least the whole SSD.
Yeah, you're gonna need a bigger SSD to only fit Warzone on. By the
Yeah.
way, I'm selling my Xbox One X. I recently put it up on the Facebook marketplace, and I realized I have a 2 terabyte external hard drive that I'm just gonna repurpose and plug it into my computer. I don't know exactly how fast the gaming's gonna be on it. I guess we'll find out.
Probably
But
just a 7200 RPM drive, just something regular.
yeah, I think
Nothing
so.
nothing too garbage, but nothing that you're going to be writing home about.
I haven't used it in such a long time. I know it's a Seagate 2 terabyte external, but hey, I got more space for the PC now.
Yeah, I mean that's important, right? So
Hmm.
anyways, we can get started here on the streaming news. So we have Twitch revealing their full schedule for their online only GlitchCon event. They've been teasing this for weeks now. Looks pretty interesting. This is my first time getting reading more and more details about it. But it'll be starting November 14th. It's going to last approximately 12 hours. It'll be spread across 4 different Twitch channels, and lots of the biggest names on Twitch will be there participating, whether it's in the tournaments for the esports or on the different channels that Twitch is hosting. But yeah, it'll be. Couldn't find a solid start time because their website looked glitched. Like, apparently in my time zone, it starts at 5 a.m. I don't think that's right. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But
But yeah, then it would start at 4 a.m. for me, and then
yeah, why would you start the event at like stupid early and then it ended at like 4
1
p.m.?
a.m. in California.
So that would be literally everyone who works is gonna be asleep when the event starts and working throughout the event.
Yeah, it doesn't make
No,
sense.
that can't be the time. I think their website's a little bugged, so I couldn't find a solid start date on that for time wise. But it definitely is starting sometime in the morning, I believe, and ending in the late evening. So yeah, I'm not on Twitch anymore, as a lot of people know. But obviously, anything that goes on in the streaming industry is good, especially when it's bringing streamers together and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
fully on board with this, especially if they can do the online only well. They're gonna have to set this event up pretty good with a lot of mods to make sure the trolls and stuff stay out of there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm all for online events going on right now. I feel like any type of convention would just lead to another outbreak of COVID when we don't need that. So until next year, at least, these online events are cool because everybody can attend them. I mean, you see everything that everyone else sees, and it's just overall a great experience for people who want to watch these kind of things. But you were saying that you're not a Twitch streamer anymore. What happened here?
Yeah, I decided my Twitch stuff. I just felt like it was a little too stagnant now. As a growing streamer on a platform where it's very difficult for people to discover you. I think that
Yeah.
it's kind of like, man, they really want to stay on here. Like, I know Twitch is like #1 for streamers, and that's where all the streamers go. But YouTube is the biggest video watching platform on the planet with like over a billion users and over like I think it's like 300 or 400 million daily people watching YouTube. Like, that's an insane amount. Like, just think how often you watch YouTube. It's likely every day.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say so. I'd say
it's
I'd at least watch one YouTube video a day.
if it's not every day, it's at least 3 or 4 times a week. So
Mhm.
just think about that. And streaming is new on the platform. And with Doctor Disrespect coming and bringing a lot more eyes to people streaming on YouTube, it seems like a pretty good time to potentially swap over as a Twitch, as an ex Twitch streamer. So my first thoughts on it, it's very good. I've met a lot of new people that have found the stream just by searching Rainbow Six Siege live or anything to do with Siege, and they'll see the stream pop up. Like, I don't have that discoverability on Twitch. I never had it. No one really
Mhm.
has that as a small streamer. If someone searches in Rainbow Six Siege on Twitch, they just get a list of most popular to least popular Twitch streamers for Rainbow Six. So now when people search, good chance they'll find my stuff. And I've been doing a pretty good job of optimizing my titles, optimizing my descriptions, my tags to do my best and making sure that my videos and streams are as discoverable as they can be. And I even uploaded a video last night about the new Operation Neon Dawn patch notes, and it has like 100 views right now. Like,
Mhm.
that's pretty good for something that I'd never even asked anyone to look at it. It just got 100
Absolutely.
views. So yeah, overall first impressions is good. However, I have been view botted now on YouTube once. This guy just really random just came in, said that he liked me as a streamer, and I was like, oh, thanks. He said, I think you deserve more viewers, and then he like boosted me from like I think I was at like 5 or 6 or whatever to like 170 in like 10 minutes, and then it just went away after like another 10 minutes. So it was just like that's just pointless. Like, I don't know why anyone would do that. It's just kind of stupid, but
Yeah.
anyways, I,
Yeah.
I I mean the same stuff happens on Twitch and happen on Mixer and it'll happen anywhere. So it's like, well, I'm not really gonna lose my shit over it.
Yeah, so I mean, you've been streaming on YouTube for how long now?
That'd be like, I think almost a month.
And I mean, it looks like the growth is honestly definitely better than Twitch in a way because you have people just hopping in your stream like new faces every single day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, sometimes when you're playing on Twitch, it's hard to get new faces, you know?
Yeah, like I get the same regulars that I had on Twitch, and that's a plus too. Like if you're a viewer of Twitch, there's a pretty good chance, like I'd say 100%, that you have a YouTube account as well. So you
Oh
know,
yeah.
if you're a streamer and you're like, oh man, like I'm so worried I'll lose my audience, I wouldn't worry about that because literally everyone has YouTube, and if they're really interested in your content, they'll boot up YouTube just like they did Twitch and just click on your stream. It's that easy.
Hmm.
Uh, there's definitely a big learning curve with YouTube when it comes to the analytics and times you should go live and thumbnail optimization and all this different kind of stuff. But I almost feel like the learning curve makes it more of an exciting challenge than time to go live on Twitch. Type in my title, blah blah blah, go live, and it's like, well, your title doesn't matter because no one searches for your title anyways. The channel tags, I don't think have ever mattered. I haven't ever clicked on a streamer and been like, oh yes, he's got this tag and this tag. Oh, what a good stream! I can clearly tell what's going on in 2 seconds because I don't think that's ever happened. At least for me. Maybe other people look at it and know. I don't know, but
The one
yeah,
tag that I know works on Twitch is if you're playing a older single player game and you put blind playthrough. Because then people come in and say, "Oh, it's your first time playing. I can see that you have the tag blind playthrough." So, and then people would get interested that way. Also, if you're doing like a competitive type stream and like you have the competitive tag, then people know
yeah.
that. But besides that, you are right. There's like tons of tags that you can choose from, and none of them seem to do much. The biggest tag that probably has any type of outreach is the language that you select
Yeah,
for the
English
tag.
or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's YouTube definitely has some obvious growing pains. Like chatbots don't really work because YouTube's API updates slowly compared to Twitch. So, like, if someone types in like exclamation point Discord, it might take like nearly a minute for the bot to answer because YouTube's API is just kind of slow when it comes to
Hmm.
answering those requests. But like whatever, that's something that will definitely be changed. And a year ago, they hardly had anything going for them streaming wise. So it's definitely on the up and up, I'd say. And I would argue it's probably one of YouTube's most prioritized newish features, if you want to get into that. Like they have the video thing on lock, really, and the majority of their platform now is making sure that people aren't getting fake views and spam. Like it's actually kind of funny. Like any video I upload or any stream always gets a spam comment, at least one.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think if you're finding yourself as a streamer, someone who's struggling on Twitch, you're not tied down, man. Like just hop off and try something else. Because I've got like 70 or 80 subs in the last 30 days. And it's like, man, I can't think of the last time I got like 80 followers in a month on Twitch.
It's very true. Very true. Um, I mean, I'm trying my best on Twitch. I feel like I don't want to leave Twitch at this time, but you got me thinking, to say the least. I
Yeah.
don't really know. I don't really know what else to say besides the fact that you got me thinking because you seem to be having some good success on YouTube, and I mean, props to you. Good job
Like
on switching over and making your own decisions here.
like when sometimes a new face will come in the stream, and then they'll start talking, and I'll be like, "Hey, like, how'd you find the stream?" And they're like, "Oh, I just typed in like Rainbow Six Siege stream, and you were like the second one on the list." I'm like,
Hmm.
"The second one? Like, that's insane! Oh my god, like that's crazy!" And unfortunately, the amount of people watching streams on YouTube isn't huge, but
Yeah,
you still have like this massive over a billion users that you can potentially grab. So like I think if you complement it with at least a few video uploads a week plus your streams, you're definitely going to get like a growing base going for sure. Because the people that are interested in your videos are likely going to be interested in your streams, and vice versa. If someone pops in on my stream and they sub or whatever, and then they see a video I posted in their sub box, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy was a pretty good stream the other day. I'll click this video and see what it's about.
hmm, yeah, man. I wish you all the luck on YouTube streaming. Let me know how it goes,
Yeah.
and I'm
So,
gonna stay on Twitch for now, but we'll see what happens in the future here.
so you got a new capture card, huh? So you
Yeah,
can really, really suck off the PS5 and the new Xbox, huh?
I mean, that's the whole reason, to be honest with you. I mean, getting the new consoles, I wanted to be able to take advantage of them as much as I can. And I only had the Elgato HD60S, and that doesn't allow for anything over than 1080,
Yeah.
basically. So I thought about upgrading to the S Plus, which does 4K, and then there's the whole pass-through thing where I can be playing at 1440, 120 frames, and then pass it through to the computer, and that can just do whatever I tell it to, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I recently got the Elgato 4K 60 Pro. Just got it in the mail today. Haven't installed it yet, and I won't be able to install it until tonight because right after this podcast, I'm actually going to be live streaming. But yeah, this is 4K 60 HDR capture card with 240 hertz pass through. It's a PCIe slot on your computer motherboard, so it's not an external capture card.
Which is
And
nice because it saves you some desk space. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
there's definitely not the big bulk of wires that I had going back there. I had the cord going into the computer, and then the two HDMI cords coming from out, and then the Elgato sitting there. And now this is just going to be plugged into the back of my computer. Um, I'm excited to set it up. I hope everything works well. It does say that it's basically plug and play. You just put it
Yeah.
in and you're good to go.
What do you think about the price? Like, how much is it, and how much is that compared to other cards like similar spec?
Yeah, so it's not the cheapest. I paid, I think I got it like on a tiny sale. It was like 230 bucks, US. And I kind of justified it myself because I sold my Elgato HD60S, and then I had something else on the side that I sold. So overall, I ended up only paying out of pocket like $30 for this.
Not bad.
So for me, the price is justifiable, but I can understand the price point. It's pretty high, and I know you can get the cheaper Elgatos for like 150 or even what? How do you say Avermedia or Avermedia?
Yeah, Avermedia, I think.
They have a lot of options as well, and I think they're a bit cheaper too.
The only one from Elgato that really interests me is the one that can encode on its own, which means
Yeah,
like you don't have any PC stress or any console stress. It just does the thing on its own, and it looks like it gets pretty hot. So personally, I would like put a fan on it or something, like just like a tiny little desk fan, and just max that and just set it on top of it type thing, because it'll definitely get hot. But I think, like if you have a crappy PC, that's like a great alternative. And I get the price is up there, but you can
yeah. I think
record
I think that's a bit
straight.
more expensive than the one I have.
Yeah, you can record straight to an SD card though, which is
Yeah,
like
exactly. You don't even need a
sweet.
computer.
Yeah, like you can just plug in an SD card and then record. I think it's 4K 60
Hmm.
HDR as well. So you're getting like the max stuff. And yeah, I mean the only downside is the unit gets pretty hot, but like you fix that with a fan, and that would be great for people that are like portable. Like if you travel a lot but you still want to play some games and record it, well man, just plug that in your laptop or whatever and you're good to go. Like it's that easy.
So the one thing about this 4K 60 Pro that I've noticed is this actually like since it's being plugged into your motherboard and such, like it does use your CPU, and you need to have a 10 series Nvidia GPU just in order for this to be used.
Or better, yeah.
So I mean, as long as I'm just streaming from the console and it's going to that, I should have no problems whatsoever.
Well, yeah, your
Um,
PC's still encoding it because that one doesn't have
yeah.
an encoding chip, so that's like
Mhm.
normal. But if all your PC's got to do is encode the stream, well, that's way easier than if you had to encode it and game at the same time.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so what I probably plan on doing is streaming if my internet can handle it at 1080, 60. I'm not exactly sure the bit rate needed for that.
Well, Twitch's max is 6,000, so you'll be at 6,000
Oh
anyways.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um, and I'm running at 6,000 right now too, so I am at the max bit rate. I
you,
should be okay.
you're the most important thing to change is your quality preset. Ideally, what CPU do you have again?
What was that?
What CPU do you have?
It's an i7 8700.
Yeah, you should have no problem putting it on the medium preset, which essentially people don't really realize. Everyone's always resolution and frame rate and bit rate. The most important thing is your quality preset or your streaming preset, which goes from like medium being pretty much the most reasonable best option anyone can pick, because anything underneath that, like slow or anything more, is literally a placebo. Like it just hammers your computer like crazy for no noticeable change. So medium, if you can do it, is amazing. And then anything above that, I think it's fast, faster, fastest, or very fast, ultra fast, super fast, whatever. Those ones suck. If you can have medium or fast, you're pretty good. If you have like a 720p 30 medium stream, will look way better than a 1080 60 ultra fast stream. So it's important to keep that in mind, because literally that preset is what determines how long the CPU spends processing each frame. More time means better quality image.
Okay, yeah.
But obviously higher usage.
That's something that I can definitely look at. Right now I've been running at 720 60 frames per second. I'm looking to boost that up a little bit and see what my computer can really handle, especially console streaming.
Yeah.
PC streaming, I wouldn't even try to go over 720 60, but for console, I feel like I can really bump that up. And I could even record, I mean, let's plays and stuff at 4K, or 1440, because that's what I'm rocking with right now. So
4K for me with a 12 core CPU is like, I can't do that. Even like an older game that's like hardly touching my computer, OBS is like, we're dropping 30-40% of those frames, baby. 4K at medium preset, like the preset that I would normally use. No way. Like, unless I'm rocking like some crazy computer, no way.
Are you talking about playing on it as well?
Yeah, but like an older game. So like something that like hardly touches your computer. But yeah, like that, you would need a separate streaming PC, I think, to make 4K a reality. And you need something beefy.
So when are you getting a streaming PC?
I don't plan on ever getting one, to be honest. I don't think anymore, especially with NVENC being as good as it is. I don't think there's a reason to get a streaming PC. I mean, if it was like a full-time career where like I made my money off streaming, I could claim it as a business expense and get like, my taxes back and all that, yeah, probably then. Like, if it's my career, sure, I could justify spending the money for 10-15% extra performance or whatever. But for now, especially with, like I said, NVENC being as good as it is, you can game and have a high quality stream, no problem, on like a 3070, 3080, 3090, whatever. Unfortunately, we'll get into it a little later in a couple minutes, but AMD doesn't have any competing options at the moment for any kind of encoding. Like, even now, if I tried to encode off my 5700 XT, it's just awful. It's so bad.
Yeah, so let's move on to the tech news here.
Alrighty, you want to get into that first one?
The reviews are in. AMD is the new gaming CPU king. So nearly all AMD CPUs outperform their Intel counterparts and now dominate in not only multi-threaded workloads, but AMD is also the new king of gaming.
Yeah, the Ryzen 5000 series is 24% faster single-core performance over the Ryzen 3000 series. AMD pricing is a little increased over the 3000 series, as expected for the quality increase, and now that they have the title of king of everything, essentially, they can justify increasing their price. But it's still competitive. It's not blown out of proportion like Intel used to do. So a lot of people are saying that Intel's going to need to lower their prices just to survive. It's kind of funny. I was reading an old article. It was posted about 5 years ago, and it was on a reputable tech website. I think an Antech or something like that, maybe. And the headline was, AMD projected to be bankrupt by 2020. And it's like, man, how the tables have turned. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. Like, not only are their CPUs amazing now, king of the world, the GPUs are swinging like blow by blow with Nvidia stuff. Like, that's crazy. And man, it was only 5 short years ago when people were like, oh, AMD's bust. Like, get your dump your stocks, boys. They're bankrupt. And now it's like,
imagine if you bought stocks then and held on to them till now.
Dude, their pricing like on their stocks is insane. Like, it was like essentially free back then, and now it's like I think it went from like, oh, we looked at it, it was like $2 to $80 or something like that. I think, like
Wow.
now. So like that is insane, yeah. And they're talking about buying some other companies and stuff too, and yeah, it's the whole thing. I mean, their business is crazy. It's the best it's ever been, and it used to be really good too. Like way back in the day, like they used to be at the top too, and then Intel came out with new stuff and they couldn't keep up, and now it's quite the opposite. I'm I'll be eager to see 10 years from now where we sit. Yeah, that's exciting to me because everyone is hyper competitive now. Nvidia's
Hmm.
got to keep up with AMD. AMD's got to keep up with Intel. Intel's got to keep up with AMD, and everyone's got to do this whole thing, or they're screwed.
I'm I'm going to get an AMD CPU when I build a new computer. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. Um, I always thought Intel was like the CPU to go for, and all of a sudden I feel like AMD came out of nowhere, and here we are. Now they're dominating the CPU and GPU game.
I had a first gen Ryzen CPU, a 1700X, because I wanted to stream off CPU, and at the time, Nvidia didn't have any good like NVENC, like the new
Mm,
NVENC that they call it now. Wasn't a
yeah,
thing then. It was still the 10 series cards. So I was like, oh man, if I get 8 cores, I'll be like the king of streaming, boys. Like no one can touch me. And I could stream very high quality, and I couldn't hit the medium preset without dropping frames because 8 cores and gaming, it's still a lot. But
yeah.
it was an okay chip, and I think it was at 4 gigahertz all core, which is decent, and I was happy with it. But I had some issues. Like I had to buy new RAM when I got the CPU because my old RAM wouldn't hit its proper clock, and that was just growing pains with first gen Ryzen. And it still didn't touch Intel's high end desktop platform at all. But everyone was like, man, Ryzen really is a big step from their old stuff. I think it was like 100+% over FX performance, which is just like crazy. Like Intel doesn't have those kind of generational leaps. And granted, I think it was like 8 years in between CPU releases for AMD, so they did a lot of in-house cleaning to get that sorted out. But
Absolutely.
like first gen Ryzen hits, and people are like, "Oh man, this is like pretty good stuff." Like, know, I'll still stick with my Intel for now, but this is promising. It's second gen hits, Ryzen 2000. People are like, man, this stuff's like good. And then Zen 2 hits, and they're like, oh my god, like this is awesome. Like they're pretty much trading now with Intel, and now Zen 3's out with the 5000 series, and people are like, Intel's dead. It's official. They're dead.
Yeah.
And we knew that the 5000 series was going to be killer because AMD released slides months back, and it was like, this is crazy if it's true. And you can never really trust someone unless you get the third party reviews. Like Intel in the past has uh, been like, oh yes, our CPU hits 5.3 gigahertz all core, and people are like, what? That's insane. And then like truth comes out that they had it attached to a chiller, and the CPU was running at like 5 degrees during their benchmarks. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, it's not realistic. Like no one does that. So yeah, it's very exciting. On a less exciting note, NVIDIA GPUs are still sold out everywhere. It's becoming increasingly harder to wait for NVIDIA stock to return, especially with big news of AMD's big Navi.
Hmm.
NVIDIA disagrees, however, with claims about it being a paper launch. They've stated numerous times now that the launch was not a paper launch, meaning that a paper launch is essentially, oh yes, our product is out, but they have zero stock, so you can't even buy it. It's essentially a move to increase your stock value. Nvidia
Okay.
disagrees with this claim. They think that it was a legitimate launch, and our demand was just way higher than we could ever think, and we just can't produce the cards fast enough. Some people are blaming Samsung for the delay, as Nvidia sources their chips from Samsung. But regardless of whose fault it is, this is the reality. And Nvidia stated that stock will not return likely until 2021. So, that's a pretty long time to wait, especially with Big Navi right around the corner. Big Navi specs, just go run through them a little quick here. Up to 80 CUs and 5120 shaders, 50% better performance per watt than last generation. Coming November 18th, the RX 6800 series, and December 8th for the RX 6900 XT. pricing of $579, $640, and $999 US dollars respectively for the RX 6800, 6800 XT, and 6900 XT. The RX 6900 XT trades blow for blow against an RTX 3090, often beating it or getting beaten by a small margin. The RX 6900 XT trades blows. Wait, I put 6900 XT here. I think that was supposed to say 6800 XT. Trades blow for blow against the 3080 at 1440p. However, there's some stuff in the closet here, a little that AMD is kind of hiding. No showcasing of any ray tracing performance result yet. And there's still no competition for DLSS or any encoder improvements. Personally, I believe AMD's lack of software improvements over Nvidia is going to be the reason why, personally, I think Nvidia is a better buy, especially for myself. NVENC I could use great. DLSS looks game-changing, and it's kind of funny to see everyone like, oh, DLSS is the best thing ever, and then once AMD is like, oh man, look at our new GPUs and how powerful they are, and we don't even have like DLSS or anything, and they're showing off like our games versus Nvidia with no DLSS or anything, and people are like, oh yeah, well, DLSS, that's just like a crazy upscaling. That just makes your games bad. That's like, that's horrible. You don't want that. And it's like, man, like 2 months ago you were like, oh, DLSS is sweet, and now that AMD has some good options, you're like, oh, DLSS sucks. It's the whole fox and the grapes thing. Just because the fox can't get the grapes, he thinks the grapes suck anyways. Oh, I can't reach those. Those are probably sour, though. Haha, they suck anyways. I don't want them.
The way I think of it is, imagine if there was no competition here. Nvidia would have the GPU world, AMD would have the CPU world, and then Intel can be like the, big business company CPUs and not used for gaming or whatsoever. Just give them the servers or something like that.
They already have that,
And
so.
and oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, in general, if all three of them weren't competing, that's probably how it would be. I think that Nvidia is always going to win the GPU game, especially with the amount of technology and game support and
That's not even to
everything
mention
like
like
that.
RTX voice, which completely
Yeah,
eliminates background noise. Like you can have a fan direct blown in your mic, and it's like, oh, I don't even hear that when you speak. Like
yeah.
that's kind of crazy to think like that tech is there, and yeah, AMD will definitely have some competition and competing software and whatnot. But as of now, they don't. So am I gonna buy a card in hopes that they unlock it via firmware or a driver update in the future? Or am I going to buy a card like a 3080 that has everything I want now? It's like, oh, I'm happy for the competition, and it was only 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago where Intel had no competition. They dominated everything, and that's why there's the joke of like, oh yeah, we're on 14 nanometer plus 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 because they got stuck on it because they stagnated their company too long because they had no competition. Why would we spend money increasing our CPUs when we could just keep putting money in the bank account and we don't have to worry about a thing because you can only buy us for CPUs. Now that
Hmm.
AMD's back and now leading the forefront in CPUs, Intel has really gotten pushed back on their heels significantly to the point where their stock prices have dropped a lot. Like, this is a big deal for the company. Like,
Yeah.
potentially, you're looking at if AMD keeps going and this performance keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you're looking at Intel being what AMD used to be, like bottom of the barrel. Like, oh, I don't want Intel stuff. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't want that thing cooking in my computer. Like, that thing sucks. I don't want that. And it's like, man, like, I hope Intel can stay competitive because I don't want AMD to do the same thing. And now, personally, I think, Lisa Su, AMD CEO, would not do that. She's also an engineer, so she knows how to do all this stuff. And that's why I think AMD is a big deal, because when you have that kind of creative engineering mind at the forefront of your business, it really helps because she knows what the engineering capabilities are of their team. It's not just like a CEO button pusher who's like, I want this out now to maximize money. It's, they understand what goes into the products, and it helps them get a greater understanding of what's going on. And they didn't have these big changes until she became CEO.
And so I just think in the end, maybe 5 to 10 years in the future, AMD will be the only CPU that's used for gaming. I feel like Intel's just gonna be, like I said before, like office PCs, for small time work and data processing and web browsing even. I
Even
mean, what they have right now is still very good for gaming, but I mean later down the line, I just feel like AMD is just going to take over in the gaming industry for CPUs.
like the 10900K has 10 cores and like a 5.3 gigahertz boost, and the 5600X is 6 cores, and the 5600X beats an overclocked 10900K in gaming performance.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like $300 for a 5600X, and I think it's like 400 plus for a 10900K. So like it's not even close anymore. Like it really isn't. It's crazy. And I didn't even touch on like the new AMD GPUs have this like memory sharing thing. I haven't read a ton about it, but if you have an AMD CPU as well, they can work together in ways that not like no CPU and GPU have ever worked together before for sharing memory in the system. And apparently, it's like a 5 to 10% increase in performance in some cases, which is like
Well,
huge. Like if I get 10% more FPS just because I got an AMD chip, like I'm not buying Intel then.
yeah. That being said, I don't think Intel has really come out with any new products as of recently, right? It's been a while.
Yeah, they got some new stuff in the pipeline. Should be coming out in 2021 for sure. And the thing is, like Intel still has that home market too. Like when people go out and they look, they're like they recognize Intel as a name.
Absolutely.
The general Joe who doesn't know much about computers will see AMD and they might not know what that is. But they see Intel and they recognize Intel because Intel has been around in the forefront for years. They used to have the like they would have commercials on TV all the time. I don't think they do that much anymore, but uh, as growing up, I saw a lot of Intel-based commercials and stuff, and I was like, oh well, I know what Intel is, but I never even heard of AMD until I got into computers myself. So I mean, they have that going for them still, but if AMD keeps it up, it's only going to be another couple of years before AMD's the household name, and no one's really saying much about Intel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Just
that
that's
about
just where we stand on that.
that about wraps it up there. I think for the guest podcast this week, we had a really good show, lots of good news, and tomorrow's your Xbox, bud.
Yeah. So next week our podcast will be basically me either being a happy camper or sad camper of the new consoles, and I'll be talking about them a lot and reviewing them, I'm sure. Hopefully, I will have the PS5 by the time we do the next podcast, and I'll be able to talk about that as well. But tomorrow is the day for the Series X, and I'm excited. I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla for that, so we'll be testing her out, especially with the new capture card.
I saw some Valhalla stuff, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I have tried my absolute best to steer away from anything Valhalla related because this is just a game that I just want to know nothing about and just dive in and see what it has to offer. But yeah, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 8 of the Guest Podcast. We will be back next week for episode 9, and then before you know it, hey, we got our 10 episodes. And we're just
Hmm.
going to keep on going. We're going to keep on chucking through, and we hope to see you next week.
Well, have a good night, everyone, or day, or whenever you're listening.